the industry leader for VR. And so it's really keen to watch what they're doing. They've kind of anticipated investing billions and billions of dollars over the next 10 years to really build out their version of the metaverse. So Meta, as current valuation or their market cap is $510 billion, $500 billion. So they're a monster. Collaboration. So this is very important, how we can use these technologies to work together. And one of the things that you'll notice is that Animoca Brands, for example, has really pulled together a number of different brands under their watch. They've got Sandbox, they've got investments in Decentraland, they've got investments in all these, and what they're really building is a portfolio of IP, of intellectual property that is beyond just the one metaverse. It's actually building cultural icons for the future. And so this is really, really exciting. So the Sandbox, last valuation market cap of Sand, which is their in-game currency, is $1.4 billion. And you can go to Coin Market Cap if you want to learn about any cryptocurrency coins. They have a listing of all the altcoins on there, from Mana for Decentraland or Sand for Sandbox. So Coin Market Cap is where I go to get these information for the market caps of digital coins. Now, here's another one, Axie Infinity. This is a play to earn model. And what they mean by that is, as you play these games, you can actually earn money. And by doing that, you can actually earn real money, because you can take your in-the-game cryptocurrency and convert it to fiat currency and pay your bills with it. So this is a really interesting model. I don't know how sustainable it is, because there's been a kind of a peak and then a trough. So I guess we'll keep an eye on this and see whether this continues to be successful. They have a market cap currently for their AXS token of $1.4 billion. Now, this is Spatial. They had a huge update this week. They went from these avatars where they could meet people in virtual spaces and meeting, whether you're in a HoloLens or a VR headset or on a computer, you can meet your friends, you can work together. And as of this week, I think, they announced they have legs now. Woo! They worked with Ready Player Me to make legs on their avatars, and they kind of took it from the business office to the cool kind of place where they're going. So Spatial is one to watch for sure in the collaboration market. They've raised $22 million. Another one that is interesting, it's not really collaboration, it's more just hanging out with your friends. Big Screen actually is the longest running or the most used VR app in the world, because people sit down on the couch, you watch a movie together. It doesn't require flailing your arms around. It's actually quite amazing. And Big Screen has pushed the limits with what's possible for visual clarity, and also just hanging out with your friends, tools that you can grab popcorn and stuff. Super cool. Anyway, they've raised $14 million for video within the metaverse. Fortnite, we can't really forget Fortnite, because they are really a behemoth here, and Epic Games has done an amazing job at bringing people together from all over the world on all devices. And they had some trouble with Apple trying to break free of the Apple tax, if you would, or the App Store tax. But what we're seeing now is people from all over the world, all walks of life, are joining in Fortnite, and it's become more than just a shooting game. It's become a creation platform, which is super cool. And the last valuation of Epic Games, they just raised $2 billion, $1 billion from Lego and $1 billion from Sony. And they did so at a $33 billion valuation. Roblox is, of course, a massive company, and Roblox is crushing it, as you can imagine. Kids from all walks of life are loving this, because they're actively involved in building their own worlds. They can build assets, they can sell them. And this is another way people can make money. Obviously, this one's a little bit more difficult, because converting from the Roblox world into kind of fiat currency is quite convoluted. But, the fun factor here is really what drives it forward. And Roblox's last market cap as of today, or yesterday rather, was $14 billion. It's down a little bit from its peak at about $40 billion about 6 months ago. But I think all the tech stocks in the world have really corrected themselves, because having 100x multiples of everything just didn't make sense. So I think the market has kind of figured itself out. It's really back to normal again. Everybody took a bit of a cut here in the tech world, but I think this is really good for sustained long-term growth, because what we were seeing was unreasonable and unattainable. Decentraland is another massive platform that is running on their own currency, and it is running on a crypto backend, and it is actually completely decentralized. So as you build things, you buy a plot of land, and then you can build whatever you want on it. You can have avatars of all shapes and sizes show up. The graphics are a little limited, but again, lots of fun. People are going in there. Brands are experimenting with this. I know JP Morgan had a showcase in there, and some other brands as well. So keep your eye on Decentraland. Their market cap of the Mana token as of yesterday was $1.3 billion, down from about $6 a few months ago. This is a free resource guide for everybody here. This is a resource guide called xrcollaboration.com. This was a partnership of Metaverse, our company, Metaverse, spelled METAVRSE, Deutsche Telekom with Terry Schussler. Thanks, Terry. And of course, Qualcomm and Accenture rounded out that. And really want to thank all the sponsors for pulling this together. It's a guide on XR collaboration platforms from all over the world. There's over 200 listed here, and you can go in and you can find out which one's right for you, because some are based on simulations, some are based on avatars, some are based on training and assessment, medical devices. So there's something here for everyone as well. And the resource guide can be found at xrcollaboration.com. You're going to want to write this down. All right, xrcollaboration.com. Great resource guide there. Culture. These technologies are really impacting our culture and how we think as a society, and this is really important. Metaverse has been covered in all sorts of magazines. I don't think you can turn a page of a magazine without seeing the word metaverse these days. But it's really impacting how we think of culture. And so you have things like NBA Top Shot that just blew everybody's mind. What do you mean I can own a piece of the NBA history? And so this has spawned the NFT boom that we've seen in the last 6 months. And Dapper Labs' last valuation was at $7.6 billion. We also are seeing things like Artifact, digital clothing, digital apparel, digital shoes. We're starting to see a whole new world that is, digital. And whether I wear them on my physical person or I wear them on my avatar, this is going to be a huge market to watch. And in fact, this company Artifact, they were designing some really, really cool shoes around the Nike brand. And of course, Nike acquired them late last year. And so Artifact has been scooped up and become part of the Nike family, which is super exciting. Let's not forget the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the ones who made NFTs cool and hip. And not only that, but brought utility to the NFT world, because they took this, and now if you bought an ape, let's say you bought the one on the top left there, it is now your ape to use for whatever you want. You actually own the rights to use that ape for whatever you want. And so we're starting to see this come into popular culture. There's Paris Hilton and Jimmy on the show there. And you look at, they're talking about their NFTs, but then they also have their Bored Ape Yacht Club's representation of themselves. Rolling Stone is covering them. This is becoming part of our culture, and they're not just building an NFT picture that you hold. This is part of culture, and it's really building a brand and an iconic set of avatars that we are going to see all sorts of things with in the next coming years. So Yuga Labs' last valuation was $4 billion. Now, art is a way to really touch people in culture, and Beeple's Opus, which is 5,000 days. He never missed a day. Actually, recently, a couple of days ago, he missed the first day in 15 years. He missed posting before midnight, and so he was kind of shattered. But anyway, Beeple painted 5,000 digital pieces of art over the course of 5,000 days, and this sold at auction through Christie's for $69 million. And I just think it gives us this kind of understanding that artists now have a way to capitalize not only on the initial sale of their art, but on subsequent sales, because you can set a percentage So every time a piece of art is sold in subsequent, the artist gets paid or their estate gets paid additionally on those additional sales. So this is really exciting for artists because they don't just get paid on the initial sale, but on subsequent ones as well. So Christie's sold that Beeple auction for $69 million, which was the largest NFT sale and digital asset sale ever up to that point. This is a company called The Fabricant. They are building digital clothing so that you can represent yourself in all sorts of unique and fun ways. And they've got a really cool fashion sense. They're just over the top with their beautiful fashion sense, and it's all digital. So you have this sustainability of not having to make the clothing. You don't have to physically make it and ship it and, bring cotton in. If people can get their fashion on in their avatars, you can save a whole bunch of money and time and environmental impact by not having physical goods. And the Fabricant has a whole studio and marketplace of all the things you can buy. Super, super cool. They've raised $14 million under the Fabricant. Now, Ready Player Me is the company that is putting avatars on the map. They have avatars that work on all the platforms. I think they have over 2,000 partners right now, which is super cool. We're a partner. We've tested all of their avatars. They work in our metaverse engine flawlessly. We just drop them in. They all work fantastic. You can customize them. They even have a thing where you drop your photo in and it will automatically make your avatar. And they've raised $13 million to date. Very exciting there. Commerce. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about, where the money's being made and how these technologies are being used to really bolster retail, e-commerce, these types of things as well. So I think we're starting to see brands really jump on. Gucci is partnered with an avatar system called Genies, and Genies is making avatars that are, got the Gucci brand, like the swagger there. You've got the glasses and the shoes, looking all hype. And Genies raised money at a valuation of $1 billion recently. So they're one to watch out for sure. OpenSea is where the aftermarket of NFTs has come to play. So about 80% of all NFTs artwork is resold on OpenSea. They have an investment from A16Z, and their last valuation was about $13.3 billion. So OpenSea is the market leader right now. There's other ones like Rarible, and there's other marketplaces coming online now, but OpenSea is the one to watch. This is a company called Obsess. Really, really cool company. What they do is they do really high resolution 3DOF experiences, meaning you can look around, but you can't walk around. So you can teleport from place to place. It renders a one image that you can look around in 360. Really cool. They have hotspots. So you can buy things directly from the spot, and they're doing all sorts of different work with brands. Very exciting work from a company called Obsess, and they've raised $10 million to date. This is Farfetch with Snap, and Snapchat is by far and away the largest AR company on the planet, hands down. If you take every other company and put them against Snapchat, they don't even compare. Snap has done over 1 trillion snaps using AR, and they don't really call it AR, they call it face filters or world filters, but Snap is really leading the way, and they've just introduced their app shopping. You can try on virtual shoes, you can try on glasses, hair, makeup, shirts, clothing, everything, all through their app, and it's phenomenal. And Snap's latest market cap as of yesterday was $35.7 billion. So you're starting to see, the value being created in all of these things, and we're starting to really see the metaverse today making money for everybody. And one thing I'll leave you with here is our project that we just announced in January called The Mall. It's a 100-floor shopping, retail, and entertainment destination in the metaverse. And each floor will be 1 million square feet for a total of 100 million square feet mall. And to put that in perspective, the Mall of Dubai, which is the largest physical mall in the world, is 12 million square feet. So this will be 8 times larger than the largest physical mall. And Dubai as a city sees about 25 million people a year. Our system, the metaverse engine and the mall, will work on over 7 billion compatible devices. So wait for that to be launched later this year in Q4. We're very excited for that. We also created our own avatar system, so you can build your own avatars and you can dress them. So brands now have a way to automatically dress avatars, so they can start to sell either physical goods in the mall or digital goods direct to avatar. And we'll be accepting fiat payments, crypto payments, and all sorts of different cool things are coming. Concerts are going to be in there. It's going to be incredible. So with that, we are accepting private sales. Each floor is being sold at one by one right now, and the prices start at $300,000 for that. And Metaverse is a private company. We are self-funded. And so with that, I want to just say, if you're interested in the mall, it's themall.io. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody here for putting up with me for this long and having me in Ireland. I think
Thank
next
you.
year I will most certainly have to come there. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alwyn. Yeah, we got a few hands in the room there. I think people want to know. The one slide we didn't see was what's the valuation you put on the mall?
The
right
valuation
now.
of the mall has, because we're a private company, we haven't taken any investors.
I'm adjusting. Okay, I think it's one to watch, definitely. And I think this time next year you'll have a lot more to report. And I think there's going to be an Irish version of the mall, isn't there? So we'll be watching out for that. Yeah. So look, without further ado, Alan, thanks again. Signing off. We'll look forward to seeing you in Dublin next year with Julie, I think, who's going to join us virtually later in the day. Okay, super.
Amazing.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. Without further ado, and I know we're running a little bit on the later side, so we do want to get you to your lunch, obviously. Let me introduce from our sponsors, one of our sponsors today, Hollow Toys, Kate Scott and Declan, our partner, who are going to do a quick, short blast, 15-minute, which I think is going to be warts and all, the challenges, which I think I've seen the slides, really interesting, I think, particularly for those of you in the room, because it is the story of building a startup in the AR and VR ecosystem. I'm sure lots of you have seen their stand. If you haven't, go and check it out. It's absolutely fantastic stand in the main expo area. So I'll leave the stage to you to take us through your story.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you. Thanks a million. So as Alex said, we have been given 15 minutes, so we have to try and do this very quickly because we have so much to tell you. Declan and I are a husband and wife team. We set up Hollow Toys in the lockdown of 2020. We are a toy business. Why should adults have all the fun? We're bringing this to kids aged between 3 and 10. Hollow is obviously based on our holograms, and we're led by fun and emerging technologies. So I'm going to let Declan kick off.
So, okay, well, it's funny because this entire journey of this company actually started in this very building just a little more than 3 years ago in November 2019 at Dublin International Tattoo Convention, would you believe? Because myself and Kate were having a bit of a midlife crisis. We wanted to get a tattoo and we were kind of creative and we were like thinking about how could we do it a little bit differently. And at the time there was an app around called Skin Motion. Not sure if anyone you ever heard of it, but it allowed you to be able to hold a device over like a sound wave tattoo, and because it was initiated through graphics, it basically allowed a voice over to be played. So it was able to maybe hear your son saying, "I love you, daddy," or whatever like that, right? We never got the tattoo, but what we did do is on the way home in the car, it did kind of start a very interesting conversation. And the conversation was all around, you know, how could technology kind of help such a creative industry like tattoos? And we were like, maybe it mightn't because it's, you know, adults, are they really going to do it? And then we were like, but one group of people would do it, and that's children, but you can't tattoo kids. So we were like, or can you? And that's where we were like, well, temporary tattoos is something that you could like spring to life. So with that, through research on the way home in the car, we basically found a company based in Baltimore in the United States that basically did exactly this.
This is Skin Motion.
Yeah, so this is Skin Motion. This is a quick demo. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen there, but it just shows how you can literally simply hold the device and the voiceover comes alive. But through our research, we found that there was a company based in Baltimore, and they actually created a concept of this. And they used it in a way to be able to kind of market their own agency. They used it to be able to, like in the same way that you would hand out a business card, they basically handed out tattoos at conventions such as this to be able to showcase their talent. But we approached them with basically a vision that we had around how we could actually scale this and use AR in the toy industry. And then that basically allowed us to be able to take that as a concept, and we brought it to the world's largest toy fair, which is Spielwarenmesse over in Nuremberg in Germany. And we did that in January of 2020. And we stood there at a fair for 5 days. not knowing anything to do with the toy industry previously, but we did it anyway. And what we found was the reaction to what we had on our stall was just immense. And it was the reaction from that fair that inspired us to literally leave our roles of over 15 years in terms of our day jobs and actually pack it all in and focus 100% of our time and effort on actually creating a business with our partners over in the US and to be able to build this out. So that was our stall in Nuremberg in Germany. Again, it was like a 4x3 stall, similar to the kind of space that we have out there. But again, it allowed us to be able to talk to toy industry experts and showcase what we had in our arsenal.
So after that, we met some really cool people in Germany and they invited us to go to New York. So we said, okay, we'll go to New York. And we went to the toy fair over there, and it was just amazing to walk into a toy fair in New York and just see all the biggest toy brands that we all recognize and see how they're sold. It was a really, really exciting time. And when we were over there, we went to our partners' offices in Baltimore, Balti Virtual. We all sat around a table, all shared the same vision, shook hands, and basically that was kind of when Holo Toys started. We came home very quickly. As the Taoiseach was announcing the first lockdown, Declan, who was not in any way a DIY man, painted our living room, and we set up Holo Toys in our home office. So this is where we do all of our business from. These are the founding team members. So there's myself and Declan, who are the only kind of full-time workers in the business at the moment. But we also have our co-founder, Paul Cosgrave, who's been a long-time friend of ours as well. Will G and David Thompson, who are from Balti Virtual. So together we founded this business, and from there Holo Toys was born.
So as with every business, you need to be able to solve a problem, okay? And the problem that we kind of saw here when designing this business and really kind of looking to how we can scale this out was the fact that, 99% of engagement with AOR today is really done through, the likes of the social channels, the likes of Snapchat, you've already seen it in the last speaker, the likes of Instagram, the likes of TikTok. But the problem is, to Kate's point, why should adults have all the fun? Because those platforms are simply not safe playgrounds for children. And they are only a swipe away from content that's inappropriate for their age. Okay, so that's number one problem. Because if you have a child who does love AOR and that type of technology, there's lots of apps in the App Store, but they only offer a digital-only experience. Now, as parents, we have designed this business with our parents' hat on because we don't want our children. And we have children who's basically 6 and 8 years of age, so we can see it firsthand, and we don't want them to lose touch with the physical world. Okay, so, and because of that, the toy industry needs physical toys. They need tangible products to be able to sit on a shelf that everyone down to the shopkeeper on the high street basically earns a margin of, and that's why the toy industry works so well. So we kind of took insight from the patterns of play and the fundamentals of play and what makes a great toy. And we could see that, it is the enjoyment of the physical interaction with a toy that actually makes a toy great. And if you look at even the likes of a jigsaw, the fun that you have playing with a jigsaw, using your motor skills and the development need that you need as a child to be able to build that jigsaw, put the pieces together, but then to be able to then enhance that jigsaw and augment it in a digital world, basically it improves the entire experience and makes it much more modern, but also makes it in a way that's more relevant to children today. So the solution that we came up with was basically to combine AOR technology with traditional toys to enhance them and augment them in this new way. And now we can do this away from the open web, away from the social channels. So we are Kids Safe certified, which basically means there's no bad stuff in their app. We don't take any data in terms of email addresses. There's no in-app purchases. We don't advertise to children through our app. It is simply a point and shoot device. And also now the toy industry can sell physical products that appeal to a digital native audience. So that kind of forms our whole belief system around Holo Toys and why we started the business, because basically what we are doing is we're leveraging new technology to enhance children's play and learning experience. So what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between the physical enjoyment of a toy and how you can digitally enjoy that, the digital play. So our vision is to create and own an AOR category in toy that does exactly that, bridges that gap between the physical and the digital.
So who are we talking to? We have two markets. We've got our business to consumer, which is our buyer who are millennial parents. We grew up in an age of digital revolution. We were the first to experience social media and obviously now emerging technologies. And our users are 3 to 10 Gen Alpha, who are going to be the most educated generation in the world because of these technologies. Our B2B market are toy and book distributors, so anyone who sells books or toys anywhere in the world. This is a global play, and obviously retail buyers as well.
So within our launch range of products, now we launched this range to the Irish market back in Christmas of 2020 when we're all sitting around our living rooms in lockdown. But as part of our launch range, we had temporary tattoos of 6 different themes. And again, I'd encourage you to go out and have a look, and we'll give away lots of free product after this. But we've got books, we've got stickers, we have wall decals, and they all come to life using the magic of augmented reality. But the difference here is, like, we're not the first ones to bring AR to the toy industry, but we've learned a lot from those who have done it in the past, okay? In the past, you had a lot of people bringing out just a single SKU product and expecting parents to download one app. You know, it's too much of a clunky experience. And then they had to import, put in their data, their email address. What we do is we've taken all the clunk out of the app, and it's the one app that basically rules them all. So here's a quick, I'm not sure if you can even see it, but here's a quick demo of how simple and easy it is to use. So once you basically open the app, you hold it over a wall decal like this, and a dinosaur pops out in the kid's bedroom. So, and you can then actually take the character and even place it in the room with you. But yeah, so to the point earlier on, we've done this very differently. The speed and the performance of our app is what separates us from anyone who's done this in the past. And if we're trying to take kids away from social media, we need to be able to offer them, the same, if not better experience. And it's the speed of the app that basically improves that experience for kids today. I'm going to show you these quick demos of my son putting on a tattoo, and how quick and easy it is to be able to literally just hold the device over that tattoo and see it spring to life. So as with all our animations, they come fully loaded with sound as well, just to give it that much more of an immersive experience for the child when they're actually looking at this through the point of view of the phone. And with our books, they're not only a visual experience, but also an audio one too. So it actually reads the book for the child as well.
We call this guy a plesiosaur. He's got a long neck and a small head.
All of that movement actually is initiated as well by the user being able to swipe up and down on the screen, and there's 5-point interaction as well.
We have 3 books at the moment, and they're all educational. We're growing this range at the moment as well.
So also we have a function where you can actually tap and place the character in the room with you. With the toy industry, I mean, it's just drenched in character IP. So there's nothing more special than being able to actually get your favorite character, whether it's one of our own or some of the world's most well-known characters, and be able to place them in the room with you, do a full 360 tour of the character, and even like my daughter here, Emily, she loves unicorns. She's able to get video and photographs of her standing beside her favorite character in her bedroom. And there's something quite special for that, for a child to be able to experience characters in a way that they simply have never been able to do before. So yeah, basically this brings us up to January 21. Again, we're all still locked down, and trade fairs weren't happening, okay? And trade fairs are really, really important to the toy industry to allow you to be able to, showcase your wares, but also grow as a brand. But what we did was we were quite creative. Well, Kate was creative because she's the creative one, and she basically designed a presentation through Instagram Live, and we used Spielwarenmesse, the Toy Fair's Instagram channel, to be able to project this out to all of their followers. It was as a result of us showing what we had that Nickelodeon actually contacted us after that, and they basically said, look, we love what you do. This is the AR we've been waiting for. So they basically said, look, here's our 3D turnarounds of our characters. Can you develop animations that basically come to life in the exact same way that you've done it already with your own? So that's exactly what we've done. We've just created a pack of 10 characters as part of our tattoo range, and also as part of our sticker range. And here just a quick glimpse of how cool they look when they actually do come alive, because they are cartoon characters that everyone knows and loves from the TV screen. And the commentary from Nickelodeon is that not only have we captured the likeness of them, but actually the personality of the pup as well. And that's what AR again does, because it allows you to be really able to play with the characters. And again, here's just a few more examples of the type of characters and the quality of the animations that we're producing.
Now kids can have tattoos of their favorite characters, place them in the room with them, take photos, videos, and it's just a completely magical experience for them.
We're also producing storybooks as well for Paw Patrol. And again, this kind of allows us to be able to get into the much more of an education feel as well, and also activity books, because we are pretty much playing in the activity space. We're kind of in arts and crafts. That's where you would find us in a store at the moment, because we're kind of using those products that have stood the test of time and enhancing them and augmenting them in this new way. We've also signed a deal with Sega for Sonic the Hedgehog, which is brilliant because, you know, we literally started this company like only 2 years ago, and being able to sign the likes of Sonic in such a short period of time, it's just been huge. But also I was addicted to playing Sonic back in 1991 on the Mega Drive, so
I got addicted during
yeah, it's a dream come true.
So then when the world kind of opened up a little bit again, we had planned to go back to Germany, which we were told was starting again. 2 weeks out, we had everything planned, all of our stand created, staff organised, and they cancelled it. So we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Thankfully, London was going ahead 2 weeks later, so we pivoted, went to London, and we're really happy that we did, because we were chosen as second best toy as part of the Editor's Choice Awards. So as you can imagine, that was a complete pinch me moment for us. We couldn't believe it. Basically, we bet all of the largest toy brands that we all know and love. So we were
really... 270 companies exhibiting thousands of toys at the fair, and we got second in terms of best.
It was amazing. It was just a dream come true for us. So following London then...
Oh, sorry, yeah.
On a switch. Oh yeah, we actually met a really brilliant group of people after London. So we call them our...
Yeah, they're basically the Muppets. But yeah, they are industry experts, because, you know, we founded this business in our living room in lockdown, and we knew that the gaps that we needed to fill, because through London, the opportunities that came our way were just massive, and we needed to be able to kind of be confident enough to take a step back and just kind of go, we need to fill these gaps in order for us to take, you know, 10 steps forward. So what we did was we hired toy experts in these various different fields to be able to help us to grow the business. So we brought on Chris, who is our international sales and strategy guy. He's over 30 years selling toys. You know, there isn't a brand that he hasn't worked with. He's just worked with every single huge company in the world, and all the big, massive toys that we would have played with when we were younger. Johnny Henton, another guy, he's a product engineer. There's nothing about product that this guy doesn't know. He knows how to design a product, make a product, source a product. But also, the guy who makes us sleep at night is Simon, because he's the finance guy. And even though we had our own accountant working with us, you know, Simon, he's scaled businesses, toy companies, you know, from startup to hundreds of millions and sold them. So he's kind of designed a model, a financial model that allowed us to be able to then pitch to investors and get them on board as well. And that brings us to this slide, because to be honest, the support that we've had has only been a positive one in the time that we've actually set this business up. It started off with Mead Local Enterprise Office giving us a grant of 35k, and it was just, you know, it was a huge amount of money for us at the start, because it was the springboard that allowed us to be able to accelerate and get this business off the ground. Then we were kind of revenue generating. We generated almost $500,000 of revenue within 18 months of starting the business, selling toys basically in 12 different countries around the world. And because of that, Enterprise Ireland signed us up as part of their HPSU, High Potential Startup. So as a result of that, then we basically built that financial model out. We went to a number of investors, and we've actually managed to get 14 of Irish tech investors on board who believes in what we do. And they're now, we've just closed our Series A round with them. So it's just amazing for us to be able to do that.
We're being given the nod by Alex. Yeah. We're just going to play our TV ad. We're really excited to launch this. And hopefully you'll see it on your screens pretty soon and on social. But this is just the start of the journey.
We will encourage you, please do come over to us at the stand. We're here all evening, so we'll give you lots of free products so you can play. But here's the TV ad.
Holo Toys. Wow, they come to life. Apply, scan, and be amazed. It's a whole new world of fun with so many cool characters. See them in your home. Capture them on camera. Holo Toys come as books, stickers, wall decals, and tattoos. It's a whole new world of fun with Holo Toys. Now bring Paw Patrol characters to life. 10 different characters in each pack.
That brings it to a close. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much. They were spot on time. I think we've seen the future there. I mean, I've no doubt this is a company that's going to be one of the trailblazers in AR and VR in Ireland. So it's a privilege to be in this relatively small audience to see how a brand that we're going to hear a lot more about. I'm really excited by that. So to our presentation before lunch, I'll talk to you a bit about lunch in the break, just to say it is a paid lunch, and do please try and stay in the hall. There is a concession down the end for you to do so. Our next presenters are very close to home to me, and I'm delighted that TU Dublin again are supporting this conference in a very concrete way, and will do so in terms of a case study presentation. I'll let them introduce themselves in a moment. A trick I learned was that when you're presenting and you're just before lunch, it's a really dodgy slot to have, because people's main thoughts are, when will these guys finish, blah, blah, blah. Here's a promise, because they've agreed to this. At 1:05, I know it's not 1, but at 1:05, they're finished no matter what. So give them your full attention. I'm coming up on stage to stop them at 1:05 and have your lunch. Okay, off you go, guys.
And just to let everyone know, I am absolutely starving, so we'll keep to that time. So my name is David Gardner, and I'm from TU Dublin Open Labs. First thing I'd say is I'm delighted to be here. The second thing I'd like to say is that TU Dublin Open Labs is delighted to be a partner of the 2022 ARVR INNOVATE conference. So about 4 years ago, I sat down with my team, the Technology Transfer Office within TU Dublin, and we came up with a new initiative called Open Labs. Now, the purpose of Open Labs was to lower the barriers for industry engagement so people could come into the university and collaborate with us, offering the world-class facilities and expertise to industry, and really open up those conversations with our researchers. So the expertise that are on offer from Open Labs are in the areas of artificial intelligence, data analytics, surface coating technology, food and food science, rapid prototyping, and of course, immersive technologies. So around the time that we came up with this initiative, Open Labs, I sat down with a lecturer within the university called Brian Vaughan. And Brian Vaughan had expertise in the area of immersive technology. So we created a new lab and we offered those skills to industry. And I must say it's gone from strength to strength, and we've collaborated with the likes of Intel, the Matter Private, the Guinness Storehouse, Biopharmachem Skillnet Ireland, Servier, to name but a few. So it's been quite successful, and it's been an interesting journey thus far. So today I thought it might be interesting to invite one of our clients, Brendan Kellett from Biopharmachem Skillnet Ireland, to talk about a collaboration. What's interesting about this is it's recently been nominated as a finalist in the Irish Pharma Awards, and I think it's a good piece of work. So before I hand over to Brendan, I must say, if you are interested in collaborating with the university or talking about the various funding options that are available from the state, such as Enterprise Ireland, and ways you can collaborate with us, please do call over to the stand and say hello. So without further ado, let me introduce Brendan Kellett from Biopharmachem Skillnet. Thank you.
Dave. I promise 1:05 is the time, and the plan here was to talk for 10 to 15 minutes. I don't know if many people know about Skillnet Ireland if you interact with your industry Skillnet, but it is a way of saving money in training. So afterwards, you know, if you're going to spend money, if you're trying to organize training in your organizations, try and use your Skillnet and save some money. But a lot of my working life has been in manufacturing in biopharma, and a lot of that has been in training. And they're very high-tech industry when it comes to medicine. They're extremely low-tech when it comes to training. So to move the industry into somewhere where it hadn't been before, almost, and using the technologies that are now available was a bit of an ask. A number of companies were trying to do this individually, but we're not getting leverage corporately to do so. So our Skillnet, with our member companies, worked on a problem, and that problem was around training in aseptic technique. And it is relevant to our industry, but the learning from this project, I think, is relevant to anybody who is beginning or wants to get involved in a VR project. So we were teamed up through a tender process with TU Dublin, and it has been one hell of a journey because it married some of the really strong principles that we had in mind when we started off in this project around learning. And in the case of the two products that we have now, one in aseptic technique and one in powder handling, They are relatively short, but they are very difficult to train in the workplace. So we just have 3 modules, beginning with theory, and then working into practical exercises. So the word immersion, I've heard a number of times this morning already, but it's really, really important in the learning process. We begin our immersion in learning when we go to primary school, okay, because we're immersed in that learning culture. And then afterwards, when people go to the Gaeltacht maybe, to immerse themselves in the Irish culture. And in my case, I even had a child who went to France in boarding school for 2 weeks, 2 years in a row, in order to immerse herself in the culture and language of French. Okay. That last experience required me to organize it in advance, fly to Paris, hire a car, drive 3 hours to Metz, leave her, and then come back in that journey, and then 2 weeks later go out and get her again. That was year 1. Year 2, there was more onus on herself doing it. So immersion is very, very valuable in the learning process, and we must understand that and do that. The engagement is what is really important in adult learning, our experience in the workplace. How many of us have gone to train, and I'm 25 more years in training and development and learning, how many of us have gone to training courses and we have not engaged? Okay, all of us, right? Engagement is very, very important, and this is a strength of VR, because immersion and engagement go hand in hand. And this was really the key to success of our program. So look, we decided that we would try and build, or would build, this program. We didn't really know what we were going to get at the end of it. All we knew was we wanted something that was immersive and engaging. When we teamed up with TU Dublin then, we got the whole project management piece around constructing the training course so as it was modular. Because the challenge that we have is not every company uses the same pieces of equipment. They've all different brands, different manufacturers. But the principles are what matters. And if something changes in the future, we want an element of future-proofing. And we can do this in a modular construction. So that's what we did. So as adults, again, we learn by doing. We don't like sitting in rooms talking or listening. We prefer to be doing. And that's important, and that's what VR allows us to do. We can recreate, and we did recreate, the workplace environment up to the sounds that are in the workplace that people will hear and might be alien somewhat to them. Like we've heard the beeping in the hospitals of the equipment in there, and it's a bit alien to us, you know, who are not in that kind of a culture, in that environment. But it does help us. The sounds are very important. And then we can build, as we do with all training courses, we build so as we can, first of all, bring the knowledge that's relevant to what we're doing at the time, the task, and then we get people to perform that task. So we bring it together in one single event, as it were. So virtual reality and more research is being done. You're probably more up to date than I am on all of that, because I'm not a technophobe, but I'm not in where you are. But when it comes to learning, it's very important that we retain as much as we can for as long as we can. And how to do that is the key to any training course, be it VR or any other mode. But where VR comes to the fore is that we can take the tacit knowledge that people have in the workplace. Because you know, when you go out of the workplace into a conference room environment and you try and talk about the workplace activities, it doesn't flow right. And it's kind of preset in terms of what you say and how you say it. But when you do something with VR and you're constructing the environment, you actually build in the tacit knowledge as well, which is really, really important. And then most importantly, when it comes to our industry anyway, is you can make as many mistakes as you want. You're not going to do any harm. That reduces anxiety. It makes the whole learning experience much better for the individual learners, okay? We picked aseptic technique because of the risk to the product. In biomanufacturing, it is not unusual to have one batch of product which is valued in excess of 1 to 5 million euro. Takes 16 to 20 weeks to get that far. You don't want to contaminate it the last minute and have to pour that down the drain. Okay, so this is a very high pressure environment in a way for an ordinary operator. So it's the value of VR in this case is really, really high. So what we did was we then moved to look at a second project, which is around powder handling. And what's happening now in manufacturing when it comes to the chemistry side, so the aseptic techniques on the biologic side where you're growing cells, on the chemistry side, we're all used to taking our 200 milligrams or 400 milligrams of Nurofen or paracetamol or whatever it is. And the new products that are coming out now from a chemistry perspective, we're going to take in doses of micrograms. So the volumes are lower, but the potency is much greater. So now we have to protect the individual from the product. Okay, this is where our dust handling experience comes in. And it's very important that we can do that. So we can use these models to make it real to people as to what can happen, because you're talking about particles of dust that you can't even see and how it gets into the body. And this whole 3D element is really, really positive. So what we've constructed are rooms that people go into, the trainee goes into. This is a typical knowledge room, it has 3D piece in front that moves, and then you have descriptions in the back. So people are getting the knowledge. We have another room that people go into and they do Q&A. And then they go into the workplace and they perform the activities. And that's the way we have constructed it. Relatively short programs, to the point, but they are bringing people into the environment in which they will work in a much safer way. We can't really see what's going on here, but there's kind of a 3D image there going through the steps of gowning. So the instructions are on the wall. They go through step 1 up to step 9. And they learn that process, okay? They don't actually get dressed. So this one is they're moving vials. And in here, you'll see the background. The information is there. They'll do something wrong. And immediately, that background went red, okay, to say that you've done something wrong. So they have moved too fast, because speed is very important in the aseptic environment, or they have broken air, so they put the hand in too far into the unit. So that's the immediate feedback that they get adds to the reality of that workplace experience. So when it comes to powder handling, barcodes, verification of codes, their instruction is on the wall again, and they perform the activities in there. Okay. So very, very, very concise activities, moving powders into place. And that's just very, very simple schematic there. Okay, so that's the message and the story that I wanted to bring here today. It is one that when it comes to developing something in VR, the principles of learning and the problem that you're trying to solve in the workplace are what's more important. From my perspective, from my workplace, ye guys, the techie guys, will actually make all of this happen. on the basis of my instruction. So I will be outside at a stand for the next hour or so if anybody wants to have a chat about the experience in detail. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the lunch. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks so much, Brendan. A really interesting case study, and I think it's an example of this need for technology to sort of fade into the background. For it really to operate, it should be something that people don't think about. It just works in the way they required for the learning. So, as I said, we are finished at 5 past there. Now, there's a paid lunch. Please try and stay in the room if you can, rather than disappear. We will start the next session, which is my much awaited, from my perspective anyway, marketing panel. We're going to start sharp at 1:45, so do try and get back in for that. Also, the draw for the 2 Pico sets, don't forget that. That's taking place down at the River stand, RIVR, towards the end. Do enter that. We're going to do that draw. This is classic late show technique, I know. We're going to do that draw during the 3 o'clock coffee break, okay? We'll do it live here on stage to get as many of you immediately after that break. But don't worry, if you're not in the room, I'm not that nasty. You will receive your prize. Don't worry. I think that's it. Enjoy the lunch. Come back here, please, for the marketing plan 1:45. Thanks, everyone. Welcome back after the lunch, everybody. Without further ado, I'll introduce a panel that I'm certainly very keen on because of my own interest in marketing and its interface with immersive technology. Delighted to welcome who will introduce the panel. We have one person joining us online from Brock University, but I'll get her to introduce everybody in turn. So please welcome my colleague from TU Dublin, Fardos Sultan. Fardos.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you all. You're very welcome to our marketing panel on the theme of how immersive technologies will power customer engagement. My name is Fardos Sultan, and it's my pleasure really to moderate this panel with such an amazing lineup of speakers. So what I'll do, I'll briefly introduce the speakers, but then I would also like you to go to the conference website to read their more detailed background. So we have one of our speakers joining us online, Dr. Joachim Schultz. I hope everything is set up for the online. Right, so Dr. Joachim Schultz is with Brock University. He's a leading augmented reality marketing professor. He's been researching the field of augmented reality since 2014, and he's lecturing in one of the first AR marketing courses. Then here we have Keith Lawler. He's a creative director for Folk Wunderman Thompson. It's one of the leading ad agencies, and he's been involved in ad campaigns for brands such as Anpost, Bord Gas Energy, and Vodafone. And next to Keith, we have Donald Douglas, who is a managing director of Return to Sender, a company that's leveraging an immersive technologies to create these promotional mechanisms for brands such as Diageo and Coca-Cola and Kerrygold, amongst others. Then next to me, we have Nicholas Moreno de Palma, a Chief Commercial Officer with Vologram, which is a Dublin-based startup company that leverages the content creation to bring this immersive solution to platforms. And last, but definitely not the least, Chupi Sweetnam. She's the founder of Irish Signature, a heirloom jewelry company. And her company was actually one of the finalists in the Irish Spider Awards this year under the category of the best use of disruptive technology, because they've applied an AR web app for their customers. So you're very welcome, and thank you for joining me today. So really what I wanted, the idea for today, I'll ask you 3 questions, but really I would love the audience to interact and ask the questions after that. So I'll start with Keith, if you don't mind. So what we're seeing really nowadays that many brands are leveraging this immersive, engaging nature of AR and VR. But in your experience in ad space, what has been your experience? Are brands really serious, and are they kind of supporting that with the marketing budget as well?
Thank you, Fergus. Yeah, I think brands really want to be part of the immersive space at the moment. Particularly the big buzzword at the moment is metaverse, and where are we going to show up in the metaverse and what we're going to do in the metaverse. For me, it all comes down to engagement, entertainment, and it has to be something that's going to bring customers in. It's like having the equivalent of a brand just showing up in the metaverse is the equivalent of just having a website on the internet. If it's not engaging, there's no reason for customers to be there. So from my experience, we're at my agency, Folk Underman Thompson, our parent agency, WPP, we've put together a team, a Metaverse Foundry team, it's called, of 700 people that are actively looking for opportunities within the metaverse and within immersive technologies to bring engagement for our brands. My own personal experience, we're constantly looking for and trying to come up with ideas that work in the immersive space, that really do leverage the medium of the metaverse and immersive technologies, but that really help our brands to be engaging and be engaging to their customers. My own experience is from a creative director in an ad space, but also my passion is music. And in 2018, I had a platform called First Stage that, again, for me, it's all about solving a problem. And the problem was that artists couldn't make enough money from performing live, but with immersive technology, you can actually expand that audience and reach a far wider audience, creating more revenue for artists, so long as the experience is engaging. So for me, it always comes back to, it has to be an inspiring, engaging, creative idea that overcomes a problem.
And are the companies supporting that in terms of the budget? Are they allocating proper, decent-sized budget to those campaigns?
They want to. I think it's our job to come with really good solutions and really good creative ideas, and there will definitely be an appetite and a budget for them from brands. Brands are just, they're unsure about what the space looks like at the moment. So there is certainly budgets being allocated, but only for things that are right and work. I think some bigger brands, maybe international brands, are just showing up in the space, whereas in Ireland we don't have that opportunity. Budgets are a little bit smaller. We have to have a really good, engaging, creative idea before a budget will be allocated for it.
Thank you very much. I'll turn now to Dr. Joachim Schultz online. I hope you can hear us. We have kind of fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Really, as someone who's been involved in research for many years, but also working with the brands, what has been your experience in terms of delivering these immersive experiences for the brands, and what are the challenges, and what are the learnings from academia, from the what are the evidences to support that this is something that the brands should invest in?
Yeah, thank you for this. I think the first thing I would mention is that, like, over the last couple of years, so I've been in this space for like 7 years now, I guess. Over the last few years, we've seen something which I would say we're approaching maturity of the space, which sounds weird because, like, we all kind of at the same time arguing that brands should start experimenting more. But if you look into the structures and the ecosystems that have become available over the last couple of years, I would say we are almost approaching maturity of the system. I mean, look, we have a lot of great platforms where you can easily create AR experiences for consumers. Like just recently, Snap did some updates on their lens builders, and now they have a web interface for this as well. TikTok came out with their Effect House. So there's like additional ways of getting AR to consumers. Web AR, of course, has become very, very stable. We have a lot of platforms and services that help to kind of show AR to consumers in a more e-commerce setting. So Perfect Corp comes to mind, Shopify comes to mind, where AR is really baked into the system in Shopify right now. And then we have companies like, for example, Hologram and other places that help companies to really create the content. And there are automated processes coming available where you kind of easily transform 2D images or CAD images or CAD models of your products into AR. And so all of this together, I think, creates like a more mature ecosystem how brands can now really engage. And to the second part, I find that immediately brings up a challenge, I find, right? Because like in the past, we maybe encouraged brands to kind of say, like, you're gonna try get into AR, like do like maybe that lens, or kind of have like a couple of products on your product detail page as an AR object. I think brands have to kind of now diversify a lot more, have a more diversified and strategic approach on how they use augmented reality. Not only doing like, here's like one little AR campaign I'm running maybe, or here are a few products I have, but really making sure that the entire catalog is on augmented reality or has AR objects available, having that linked through the e-commerce sites, but then also realizing that this is just one particular avenue of AR, like showing it on your product pages, for example, but also thinking about like, okay, like what is the way how I use AR in my mobile app, if I have one, or if I want to build one. How do I use AR on social platforms, and like what are the different things I can achieve through these different modalities of AR? So I would say like one of the key challenges you ask about for brands right now is to kind of really move towards more like this strategic approach to AR, and kind of thinking how I can use different elements of AR, like different modalities of AR, for like a more comprehensive AR strategy that kind of moves consumers through the entire purchase funnel, not only showing them a product, but also kind of getting them excited into the brand, also delivering them some way of kind of keeping engaged with the brand and building relationships with the brand, and create showing their creativity and their own persona with the brand. So I think there needs to be a more comprehensive approach that takes into account the maturing AR ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you mentioned how the brands are engaging in social media, they're starting the conversation, but oftentimes there is this gap between starting the conversation in social media and having the conversion. So where does AR and VR technologies, those technologies, where do they fit in? And what is the evidence that we can say, well, here we know this is working, it's bringing the customer to this kind of final product, to the final kind of step of conversion?
Well, the conversion evidence, that is quite robust. I mean, like, it depends always a little bit on like what product or industry you're looking at. But I always kind of would say there's a range between, on the very low end, maybe 20–50% lift in conversion rate, but you can also see like substantially higher lifts in conversion rates, like going up to like 250, even 400–500%. Again, it depends on the industry, it depends on the product, it depends on how many competitors are using AR. Those values vary, but overall, there is a strong indication that AR converts better than just 2D images, better than just 3D objects on a web page. And then there's the additional benefits like lift in shopping sizes or in value of the shopping basket, lower return rates, cheaper production of digital content. So there's a lot of reason in terms of the ROI to kind of pick up on AR. My big point